Welcome to another message from the streets. Got a special edition, and as usual, controversial topics. And I'm gonna go right on into it. Today's topic we're gonna deal with Omnicron. That's the new variant that came out a couple of weeks or so ago. Allegedly started in South Africa, but information since then said that was an incorrect assessment, that the South African medical field was able to determine and acknowledge and recognize it and brought it to the world, and then they was demonized in the process as the place of origin. But since then, the place of origin has been re-identified to somewhere in Europe. Omnicron. When I first heard it, first thing I thought about was Transformers. I said, did it come from Cybertron? Is it a weapon from Megatron? Other Decepticons, because Megatron don't got no love for the humans. This is thought. But moving forward, we're going to talk about the modern day plantation. And if you didn't know, it is your job, the job that you may possibly lose if you don't get the jab. And that plantation is a dictatorship to our survival, just as being on the plantation as a slave, indentured servant, or any form of person rendering services for free at one time, but now we're being compensated with some finite currency, which means that it don't have no value. There's no value to the gold that's in Fort Knox, whereas though that's why the deficit is in trillions of dollars, because those trillions of dollars are accountable for against the precious metals that the United States supposedly have in Fort Knox and probably other places in the country. So, yes, if you got a job, such as myself, every day you report to the plantation and you do what the big boss or the master, people call the employee the boss. When people bring that to my attention, the boss this, I like, hold up, that's your boss. I don't have no boss down here on this plane manifested physical. My boss is the big man. Yeah, on other realms and ethers. That's who my orders and my life and livelihood is, comes from, to my understanding. Moving forward, it's a report out that says that 14% of Americans agree that people should be fired from their jobs or occupation if they do not take the jab. 14% saying that there is 86% that are, according to this poll, that is against people getting fired or losing their livelihood because they refuse to submit and get the jab. And these people, this 86%, many of them are vaccinated people, but they had the decency to respect a person's opinion. Now, some of the false narratives are going around is that people that are not vaccinated or decide they're not going to get the jab is the cause of the spread of COVID. This is not true. If you look up, what's that, Bill 4477 on Capitol Hill, Christina Parks, PhD physician, debunks that. I'm not going to say too much on it because, YouTube, Facebook, social medias, they are in cahoots with the agenda of those that are promoting this behavior towards the masses. If someone says anything that is not in agreement with their narrative, which I do not agree with their narrative. I believe they are muzzling the people. They are actually infringing on the First Amendment rights of people, the freedom of speech, when people have particular perspectives that are valid and has some evidence that what they say is possibly has some validity to it. They're saying if your validity or your truth is not their truth, then you're in violation of the policies. This is tyranny. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the media format is. If you are silencing the people for voicing their First Amendment, you are you cahoots with the tyranny of Mr. Jab 'em Joe Biden at the executive office up on Capitol Hill. Not on Capitol Hill, at the White House. The executive, that's the legislative branch. Moving forward, this is something totally different, but I think this is a very interesting topic. There was a gentleman, McCallahan, that's his name. I fail to recall his first name, but this gentleman, he was actually arrested for having several bombs that he left during the Black Lives Matter protest. And once they found out who this guy was that left these bombs, by video surveillance, they went and arrested him, went to his house, found other materials there for making bombs, and also 10 backpacks that were the same likeness of the one that he left at the place where they found it. This was a camouflage backpack. And, common sense said that he was going to set these backpacks in other places. But this guy, he said it has been revealed that he didn't get locked up because nobody got hurt or he didn't designate it. But his overall goal and agenda was enough. He set those backpacks in those positions or in that position for Black Lives Matter protesters to find it and start throwing these cocktails that he created. So it's just like the situation that took place up in Chicago. They said a train rolled by and threw a crate of weapons off so that the urban people in the urban neighborhoods can get these weapons and start to kill one another. And it's the same thing that this guy was doing, but he was given 3 years probation and I think 90 days house arrest. Now, if this was a brother or sister that was associated with some type of Islamic group or even a so-called black man, do you think for 1 minute that judge would have gave him probation? And that's the same thing if there was a so-called black man that took the position that Mr. Carl Rittenhouse took and went across state lines with an automatic weapon and shot and killed 2 civilians at a protest. Would that so-called black man receive the same type of tolerance or leniency that Mr. Rittenhouse is? See, this is the problem with this judiciary system and also other functions within the United States and probably abroad as well. It's full of hypocrisies, and this hypocrisy will eventually become the dismantlement and destruction of the civilization as we know today. I know some people will say, you know what, that's real far-fetched. But what's far-fetched that you have conceived in your mind that this is going to be a utopia and they're going to strive forever. Egypt failed. Babylon failed. Rome, Persia, Greece, even the British Empire is a shadow or a fraction what it was before. And the United States is right in alignment of those nations because it presents the same type of behavior throughout the system of the governing body that governs the people. Full of hypocrisy, full of deceit and trickery, greed, and nefarious acts that take place at all levels and all levels of the government, executive, legislative, and the judiciary branch. And we can't deny anybody with common sense or just be truthful with themselves when we look at the track record, the events that took place in this country over the last 100 years. We're only going back 100 years. We're not even necessarily going into slavery, but over the last 100 years, the segregation, Jim Crow laws, and other type of redlining and gerrymandering. These are criminal acts, and these criminal acts were committed by the government, local governments, so forth and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, all I'm saying is that with the information that I'm sharing with you, to do your homework. Don't believe anything that I say without doing the research. And if you come to your research and you have some information that that can help me make an adjustment in the way that I'm seeing things, bring it forward. I challenge you. I challenge you to dispute anything that I bring to you, and bring it with evidence, concrete evidence, so that I can grow, you can grow, we can grow. Please, we know what the Constitution says. Remember what Abraham Lincoln said, for the people, by the people, of the people. And that's what's the power of the people. Big government, big pharma, big money, that's what's going on right now. And if you don't comprehend that, you may be a big idiot. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this is just a point of view. Do your homework. Message from the streets. Peace, love, and goodwill to all humanity.